welcome everybody. If you have only just joined us, please do register, and also please stay to the end because there's an evaluation slide as well at the very end of today. So from the last session, it was requested that we have a look at numeracy as a focus, and I'm delighted to say I've got 5 schools offered, volunteered, were press ganged to share today. So I'm going to move very quickly on to the next slide. Please come up. Next slide. Here we go. So here are the schools. I want to just give a big shout out to these schools. St David's, Donna is prepared, ready for action any minute now. Give me about 10 minutes, Donna. And then we have a new partner school, Dustow Primary, who also have been very courageous and said, yes, we'll do something for you, which is wonderful. Rachel, and my techie support, thank you, Rachel, is presenting from Blackwood. And I'm hoping Kath from Nanta Park is here, and Ellis from St Andrews. If any other schools volunteered and I haven't written you down on this list, I do apologise. I can only blame my age. Yeah, that's all I'm blaming. Okay, is there anybody else, or are we okay? Cool, there's nobody. I didn't get a reply though to know if Nanta Park and St Andrews are here, so I'm hoping they are.
Yeah, I'm here again now, it's Kath.
Hiya, Kath, morning.
Morning.
Okay, just a little bit then on, obviously I went straight to the developmental pathways. I should also have looked at the AOLE for numeracy. I actually haven't done that, it's naughty. I'm hoping the schools have. So just thinking about when you're looking at if you're using the curriculum for funded non-maintained nursery settings, you will see a lot of numeracy is embedded within the exploration pathway. So I've just pulled out a few things that maybe you have noticed them, maybe you haven't, but it's about looking through these statements through a numeracy lens. But important to think about: young children actively seek knowledge and skills that are both within and beyond their current capabilities. When supported and enabled, they can focus attention for extended periods of time on things that are of interest to them. And oftentimes we will see children, particularly if you've got collections of things, or there's numbers around, or there's shapes around, or there are all sorts of loose parts where they can do things with, you will see children wanting to sort, classify, count, share, all sorts of things will be going on. That's the underpinning of their mathematical development. Also, their schemas actually underpin their mathematical development as well. So knowing more about schemas will help you. So things that we would be looking for the children in terms of testing their emerging theories, the way in which they are able to and supported to notice shape, symmetry and pattern in the natural and built environment. And I think I've seen, particularly on Twitter, very much more skillful use of thinking about pattern and shape beyond the 4 regular shapes that we would have in the past wanted them to know by the end of nursery, end of reception, whichever, as being, really strong indicators of future mathematical development. Actually, there's a lot more to shape and pattern and symmetry that children need to explore than just those 4 basic shapes. Playing with quantities and numbers, starting to use simple mathematical language in their play and with purpose. So that could be transactional mathematics, it could be in the sand and water play, it could be in their blocks. It should be everywhere. So beginning of mathematical development, and numeracy in particular, is around the language and the concepts that they're developing in their play. We want to see them being able to transfer their learning into new situations. We want to see them problem solving and reflecting on their learning when things don't go right. And developing that resilience and perseverance. And developing their concept over time. That's in the beginning, now and next, before and after. daytime, nighttime, that kind of thing. And noticing similarities and differences in people, places and things. Either being pointed out to them or you noticing that they're noticing. And that's, we're going to come back always, aren't we, to observing and noticing what children are noticing. So your role, everyone's role in terms of enabling adults, is to observe, notice and use children's fascinations to deepen their learning. So what we're wanting to see a lot more of, and I'm sure we're going to see this within the presentations this morning, is that we're not always coming with the fixed idea of what you want to teach, but you are using your observations to see what you need to introduce and embed and extend. So your skillful interactions will be there, supporting them, giving them the vocabulary they need, but also viewing them as confident and capable and curious. That's really important, isn't it, as a starting point, that all children are capable of learning. I'm sure you're reading all of these, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but, you know, thinking about our effective environments and the use of the open-ended resources to enliven curiosity, for them to play with numbers, and shapes in all sorts of different ways. The outdoors, I feel, has a massive capacity for being the learning space for numeracy. And helping children to know right from the very beginning. I think this is very important for maths and numeracy, is it's okay to make mistakes, because maths has that, you know, it's either right or it's wrong, but actually there's a lot of problem solving that goes into maths. So, and helping them to think and problem solve by the ways in which you interact with them and model that thinking and problem solving. So taken directly from the curriculum, funded non-maintained nursery settings, just thinking about what we said in terms of numeracy, about them being naturally inquisitive and developing that understanding of mathematical language, concepts and skills through multi-sensory play and authentic experiences. And I know you're going to get that in the next hour or so, actually, it'll turn out to be. Children should experience daily outdoor play opportunities to encourage their further exploration of mathematical concepts in everyday life. Within the natural world, there are a wealth of opportunities for mathematical development. Do we make enough use of it? Are we more concerned about getting them to write numbers in books, when actually those concepts are going to last a much longer time and be more profitable to them in terms of their mathematical understanding later on? And with our support, and by providing an engaging environment, children can discover and understand that maths is everywhere. Do we know that? Do we see that? Do all your staff know that and see that? Modelling appropriate mathematical language and skills throughout the day will help children to develop their strategic competence. So the ways in which you use your daily routines, snack times, tidying away, story times, whatever it is, where you can introduce mathematical concepts and language in very natural ways to children. They will be picking up on those. So developing mathematical understanding, it's imperative that we give children the time to observe, explore, investigate and experiment to work through the process of problem solving. So again, I think that's telling us to slow down, not to rush through, not to think that if they know numbers, they're going to know everything about a number, because they're not. And we need to make sure that, you know, that old phrase of knowing the threeness of three, knowing the shapeness of a circle. There are lots of different kinds of circles around, or rectangles, all those sorts of things. Let's really, really enrich their understanding. And then I have one slide that I've stolen from one of my partner schools. Ellis, you might recognise this. I love it. I love it for its simplicity, about how you present resources to children so they're not overwhelmed by the offer. They can see, they can explore, they can engage, but not be too distracted and so that they flit off very quickly. This is using very simple resources, but in a multitude of ways as well. So, knowing about the threeness of three is going to help in terms of we've got numerals, we've got spots, we've got egg boxes, we've got shells, we've got corks, we've got all sorts of things that we can do to know something about numbers in this particular instance. So that is me. I've done very well. I'm going to stop sharing now and ask that Donna start sharing. Is that okay, Donna?
I'll go from the beginning. Hopefully you can see. That's it. Everyone see that?
Beautiful.
Brilliant. Okay, so hi, we are St David's. We're in Cwmbran. We have a nursery with rising threes and nursery ready up to go up to reception. We've one form entry, Catholic primary school. We've been working on our outdoors for the last 4 or 5 years, haven't we, really? We've got an outdoor learning zone, and which is a space for everybody in the school to use. And then obviously we've got outside space attached to our classrooms, which children have access to all the time. It's really important to us, outdoor learning, and our children absolutely love it. I think everybody can appreciate how important outdoors is. And we have spent a lot of time doing outdoor maths, especially myself in year 1. As you can see, I'm the maths coordinator, but it's really important to us. So these are the elements that we hold dear to us, really, in maths, outdoors, and every outdoor session we do, every outdoor experience we have. It's to foster that love of nature, to understand the nature in order to protect it in the long term. So we use it as a resource, we use it to appreciate, we talk about God's creatures and God's world. We also make our outdoor learning as authentic as possible. We spend a lot of time making it relevant. Our eco schools is important to us. And then we make sure that the maths is across all the learning pathways and the areas of learning. We do a lot of creative things outside. There's another lady over here, you can't see her, Katrina, who covers our class. She does a lot of outdoor learning, and she does it at lots of creative activities, which obviously link beautifully to all numeracy and math. So you can see a few photos. They're really year 1 and year 2. So we've got a variety. We've got a lot of year 1 because that's my class, but these things apply to every different year group. Is everybody okay with that? Everyone here okay?
Yes, sorry, Donna. Yes.
It's okay. So on each slide, what I've done is I've put the non-maintained settings I'm learning to, and then progression step 1. Obviously, it can go to progression step 2 as well, but we're finding, the children are taking it a lot more. They take the challenge where they want to as well, which is fantastic. As an outdoor leader and a forest school leader, things like collecting bags, boxes, egg boxes, those sorts of things are really important. The children love them. So whenever we go out, mostly we have a collecting bag. You can see there on the left, children collecting things. And that's a great way to start. If you can get those vegetable bags, if you haven't got them already, vegetable bags from, say, Aldi, Sainsbury's, whatever, they're brilliant and they last, and you can use them for so many things. So we do a lot of collecting, counting. We use them for signs of spring, signs of autumn, and they absolutely love it. And obviously with that, you can see, you can play with the quantities of numbers, you can count. There's lots and lots of language, and there's perfect opportunity for the enabling adult then to find out what's there, help them to count, take away, and so on and so forth. So very simple, but it works really, really well. Then obviously you can move on. So we do lots of creative things like making leaf kebabs, and you can link that to numbers. It could be up to 5, it could be up to 10, it could be whatever they want. Some children will keep going until they're right to the top of the leaf kebab. How many have you got? Oh, some blew away. How many have you how many have you lost? How many have you got left? We do a lot of things like collect items and then make pictures. So collect 10 things, collect 5 things, and then make a picture with it. And that's getting that understanding of, like you say, the 5-ness of 5, the 1-ness of 1, and so on. And then you can see there's a bracelet hanging, something that makes it relevant to them. They've made lots of bracelets as well, and that goes into repeating patterns. But that's finding quantities, adding them, counting them, understanding how many there are, as well as learning all the nature, loving what they find in their school grounds. Any questions about that one?
I just think it's lovely, Donna.
Fabulous, thank you. I'm looking forward to doing the picture of the face. We've got lots of wood cookies and things like that. I say Katrina, who's opposite, used to be with me, and we did a face for every single child, didn't we? And they loved it. Some had more natural items, some had less, but yeah, they really enjoyed that. And then we took photos of those, and they've been up all year, and that's really nice for them to use. Goodaloos Parts play there as well. Then we're looking at problem solving, really. So children have taken these things themselves. So you can see the leaf bunting. They've collected things. That was the same day, actually. They collected their things, and then they started adding. And we were actually doing number bonds to 10 at the time, so they started doing it. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of those children, you can see there, were not so keen to do it on their own. Let's not pretend that they were doing it on their own. I did help them, guide them, but they really enjoyed it. And then they started writing on their boards, and they worked really nicely together. You see the little boy on the left in the middle picture. He was counting, and the other one was doing the writing. And those children were not keen to do any writing, were they? They really weren't. It wasn't their bag. They loved to be physical, and they absolutely loved that. And then we had them in the tough spot, and they had to go themselves, and they were beginning to see those patterns. Oh, right, 8 plus 2. Oh, now I can see 4 plus 6, and so on. So we used those piles of sticks for quite a while, didn't we? And then they started building other things and making things with them. I thought about the journey stick you can see there. Now, I've done lots of language with the journey stick, but it does lend itself really nicely to counting, adding on as well. Can you find one more thing? I've always done it as first, next, that lovely language, but actually it lends itself beautifully to numbers up to 5 and so on. And a really nice introduction to adding and taking away. Okay. Then we've looked at the trickier subject of time. Time outside is quite tricky, but actually ours love being outside. So whatever we can do outside, we will. We talked about time, we introduced it, but we then went outside with the clocks and we created a trail. And I do a lot of trails, lots of things where they go and find it. They love a clipboard or a whiteboard, but even if they do it without that, you could use QR codes and they could find things. They go out on a trail, they're very physical, they're seeing things, they're appreciating nature, but they're learning other things at the same time. So it's time too. So with the non-maintained curriculum, you see the concept of time, what happens first, what happens next in the day, and then relating it to their own life. So you could have photographs of time on a trail. You could have clocks. We had clocks, and they had to try and put them in the right order and then think about what time it was. They really enjoyed that. As I say, we do a lot of trails, don't we? Okay. Then we're looking at the differences, so noticing with the non-maintained curriculum, similarities, differences. This is from the exploration pathway, places and things. Again, these are year ones. The one in the middle isn't actually. Can we find the longest leaf, the longest thing we found from nature? Can we find the shortest thing? Putting them, again, you could put those on a journey stick, or you could put them on a bracelet and so on. A big poster would be lovely. These children on the left were asked to sort of explore capacity, and they put them in order themselves. I sort of watched and they put them in order. They were deciding which one. They used the box to measure, and then they got a measuring jug out and actually started to measure it off of their own backs. And they were estimating which one. A fabulous conversation. One of them thought the tallest one was going to hold the most, and somebody said, no, I think the frying pan's going to hold the most. So they kept sort of changing it. Lovely conversation. And then you can see authentic experiences to find one more and one less, more and less than a meter. So they went around with the meter stick. Some of the children had a meter stick with an adult, and they were just seeing if it was more or less. These children actually wanted to measure it. And we did that all over the place. They then took it outside themselves. You can have a stick, a meter stick that isn't a meter stick, just a stick with 10 centimeter tape on it. That works quite nicely. And they can just go around and find out which is more and less. We then sorted them. They chose to sort them, which were more and which were less. We went in our prayer garden, and statue of Mary was there as well, and we were debating whether she was more or less than a meter. Any questions about that? No? Okay, carry on. We do tap, tap, bang, bang in every class up to year 2. We're hoping to take it to the juniors as well. And they absolutely love it. So we've done a lot of 2D shape, we've done patterns. They really, really enjoy it. Whilst you're doing tap, tap, bang, bang, there's a lot of opportunity then to talk about, like you say, the shapeness of a circle. What are the properties of that? What are the properties of a triangle? They made houses as well with them, with nails, and then they used elastic bands to make those shapes. There's lots of lovely conversations going on there, as well as just the building. And then you can see on the right, we did another trail, which was a shape hunt. They found pictures of shapes, and then they went out and found shapes. The mud kitchen was a great source of shape finding. They decorated the shapes. Again, lots of opportunity there for you to discuss the properties of a shape. What do you notice? How are they similar? How are they different? When you've got that enabling adult, they can have all those conversations with the children, or you can listen to them and you know, observe those lovely conversations. And then they sorted shapes actually from the mud kitchen. Oh, I've got it on the next slide. Here we go. So on the right hand side, you can see they collected shapes with curved and non-curved sides, and then they sorted them. So the right hand side was all the curved shapes, and you can't see on the left, they were the non-curved shapes, weren't there? There weren't as many, not in the mud kitchen anyway. And then there's a lovely picture of the symmetrical butterflies. So we do a lot of nature art. Our children love nature art right up to year 6. They absolutely love it. We've got lots of space for them to draw outside. A lot of chalk goes on, so they can create lots of lovely symmetrical patterns, that sort of stuff. They've just done Kandinsky with Katrina, and there's lots of lovely discussions about circles there. And giving them the time, that's really important. We do have outdoor sessions, and they're quite long, and I think that's really important. You give them the time. Obviously, if you're in a nursery setting, it's a bit different, but giving them the time, giving them the opportunities and listening to them, that really helps. Okay, and then we're looking at pattern. So you can see some nature art. Actually, we created some calendars, and they did some repeated patterns. That got the brains thinking, didn't it? Especially in the wet. Then we've got lovely patterns there, those lovely mats in nursery, and they've created a repeating pattern with the laurel and the sticks. And then one's linked to spring, and then you can see the bird feeder. I have to say, I made that bird feeder. But they did make their own as well. It was a bit fiddly, but they did it with raisins and cranberries and popcorn, and then we've hung those on the trees. So again, making it relevant, making it authentic. They can see the pattern, but obviously they're doing it for another reason as well. Noticing those patterns, really looking at your patterns all over your school, all over your grounds. Just pointing those things out, because they're just sponges, aren't they? They're just fascinated by things.
Donna, just on that point as well, I can see you've got repeated patterns.
Yeah.
In spring, but and if they're doing it in spring and summer and autumn,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
revisiting the learning, isn't it, and linking it up for them. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously it covers so many elements as well, because obviously we're looking at the outdoors through the season. They see the changes.
Yeah.
Like you say, they'll be interested, and they can then use, we've got Seek on our iPad, so they can find out what they are, and again, appreciate. We do talk about not picking everything as well.
Yeah.
So if there's lots of it, fine. If there's only 1 or 2, then we don't obviously pick it. That's quite important for them to understand. We tend to pick things off the floor. That was actually in a wood, to be fair, so there were a lot of celandines. Okay. And then surveys. My goodness, we do a lot of surveys. So we are massively into the RSPB Big Schools Birdwatch here. Everybody does it, and we look at our results and we compare them. So they really, really love that, and then we think about what we can do to help the birds. We're very proud of the citizen science that they do. The children in year 1 did a litter survey to find out where was the most litter. They predicted that it would be on the junior yard, and they were correct. Very judgmental they were too. But they took the bins and they emptied them out afterwards, and then did a tally chart, and that was their first real introduction to tallies. But it was very authentic. we've taken them out. We're very lucky that we're in Cwmbran because we can do lots of local walks, but they were doing a building survey, and we were seeing which buildings we found and looked at their features and so on. They did a tally chart there as well. But obviously that's something you don't have to do a tally chart. You can just go out and have a look and have all those conversations. Here's a sound hunt. We did that right at the beginning of the year, and I think sound hunts are fantastic. And then we said, which sound did we hear the most?
Lovely.
Okay. Yes, we did No Mow May, again linked to our eco schools. They were very proud. The same day that happened, when we did our survey and we created a No Mow May section, where we weren't going to mow it, the man who does our mowing came out and they all chanted, "No Mow May, no Mow May," at the poor man as he drove around. They were passionate about it. I didn't know whether to tell them off or clap, to be honest. But you know, they get the idea of it. It's relevant, isn't it? So that's really important to them. That's it, I think. Just a picture of us doing partitioning. They loved that as well. Partitioning with 10s and 1s, that's a bit more highbrow, but there we go. They love that. You can obviously do that with 100s as well. So we have rocks for 100.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And it's so nice to start with numeracy outdoors. It's really, really good to start with the outdoors. So thank you so much, Donna. Does anyone have any questions for Donna? There was a comment in the chat about, can we have the slides? So Donna, if you send the slides to me, put it in a PDF, and then I'll upload it to the space. Thank you so much.
I'll send that to you. No problem. I think
somebody was trying to speak though. I've talked over them. Oh. Did anyone want to say anything? Sorry. Maybe they didn't. Okay.
No.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, so happy. I think we'll carry on working with that because it's quite nice actually to sort of remind yourself what you're doing and other things that we need to work on. So thanks for that.
Really great. And I can see that Heidi and Sam are ready to go. Very excited.
Okay, so I'm Rachel Walters. I'm the Professional Learning Lead here at Blackwood Primary, and I've got my colleague Louise Cooper here who oversees and manages our early years here at Blackwood as well. So we are offering a new professional learning session next academic year, looking at early numeracy in authentic contexts. So just a little bit about us really, and just a bit of an overview. We have developed our independent provision as an exceptional feature of our school, and we really pride ourselves on this feature, just to enable people to become ambitious and lifelong learners, ensuring then that we're nurturing that independence, confidence, and equipping them with the wider skills required for them to become active citizens within Wales and the wider world. Like many of you probably all already know, we pride ourselves on utilising the Froebel's 5 occupations throughout the whole school. So if many of you have already been and visited us here at Blackwood, you would have known that we have ensured that our 5 occupations, which are below, so cooking, engineering, investigation, allotments and creative areas, are all the way across the school, from nursery all the way up to year 6. And we really pride ourselves on utilising these areas throughout the whole school. And then looking then at the independent learning and provision in a deeper sense, so looking at that learning to learn and that mindset. So we really pride ourselves on looking at the 3 enablers, so looking at those enabling adults, ensuring that these adults across the whole school are nurturing, observant and responsive to pupils' learning interests and fascinations. And like many of you have already been to visit us, our environments as well, we really, I'm just going to move this, sorry, 1 second. Our learning environments really create that curiosity, they question pupils and consolidate that learning then from explicit and focused teaching then within those independent areas. And then staff carefully plan and map out those purposeful and authentic learning experiences then for pupils, ensuring then that obviously the enabling adults, these guidance strategies are age appropriate and provide a framework then as well to really ensure that pupils are moving their learning forward, exploring, expanding upon their thinking, knowledge and understanding then as well. So really looking at, oh, why is this not working? Is it because I move this? Oh, there we go. So just looking then, I know most of us are familiar with the observation cycle, but really looking at the child holistically and ensuring that it's focusing on the child and what they can do instead of focusing on what they cannot, and that this is the starting point for a child's learning. And children learn best by doing things for themselves. So really celebrating and promoting those verbal 5 occupations throughout the whole school, and ensuring that children are doing things for themselves and becoming more aware of their own learning. And this is where the observation cycle then really comes into play. And then looking then at numeracy and authentic contexts. So I don't know if Louise, you want to talk a little bit about looking at the natural world?
Yeah, we've got a huge mud kitchen outside and lots of opportunities for patterns and symmetry, and as well sort of literacy within the context of that authentic experience and interest. Children at the moment want a pizza parlour, and it's grown now, so it's a pizza in the park with parents and a celebration at the end. So it's just listening to them, lingering longer, exactly what Gaynor has said, and moving our areas is never a finished product, and those engaging experiences with the open-ended resources work really, really well.
Responding to their fascinations and interest then as well, isn't it?
And adults who are, yes, engaging in play and meaningfully moving the learning on. And we get, as staff, so much back from the children by not pushing them through and pushing them to record, which is lovely.
And it's just some examples then from some of the different occupation areas throughout the school. So looking at the natural world, gardening is a fabulous opportunity and experience for pupils.
And the woodwork, isn't it? With the measuring, with the shapes.
And cooking as well. You know, it's really making it authentic for the pupils to really apply those skills in purposeful experiences, really. And then looking at, and then just having a look then, we kind of sat together, didn't we, and had a little look at what skills can really be promoted throughout the verbal occupation. So looking at mathematical language, as you can see there, shape and pattern seeking, measuring and ordering, definitely problem solving, data handling opportunities as well. So these are just some little examples that we've popped on there as well.
Can I just say, you can just go back one?
Yeah.
So Froebel talks about three types of forms that children represent in terms of their understanding. And there are forms of beauty, forms of life, and forms of knowledge. And I just noticed in your block play, children are demonstrating those forms. So yes. That I'm assuming the middle one is a flower.
Yes.
So that would be, it's not knowledge that they know about flowers, but also a form of beauty, as in flowers are beautiful. And then they show, is that a spider down the bottom one or not? Bottom right. What's that?
Yeah.
The bottom right.
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
So again, they're showing their understanding through the forms. So that's another bit of Froebelian pedagogy and principles. It's really interesting to look at in terms of how they're linking up their learning. Lovely. Thank you.
And then this was just a bit of a taster, really. I didn't really want to give you the full-blown kind of presentation for you guys today. So these are just some of the opportunities, professional learning opportunities that we are offering next academic year. So looking at engaging and connecting with the natural world, developing independence through authentic learning contexts, and developing numeracy through authentic contexts as well. So we look forward to meeting you all hopefully next academic year.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Louise. That's lovely. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Stop sharing my screen.
Everyone's very quiet.
They are this morning.
Very, very quiet. You can have a little bit of what I have now because I hate it on streamer.
I
But
know.
Can we book any of those now, or is it not till the autumn?
Oh,
Sorry, Donna,
can't
what did
quite
you
hear
say?
you.
Sorry, can we book on those now, or is it not till the autumn?
Yeah, well, it's not live yet.
Oh, good. What date is it live?
I would imagine in September. I'm going to the head teachers marketplace this afternoon. I will find out for definite then, but I'm assuming it will all go live in September.
Brilliant, thank you.
And the dates are on the slide as well for our professional learning sessions. So once Gaynor pops them onto the slides for today, they'll be on there.
Okay, thank you so much. Heidi and Sam.
Okay, so you may not be able to see us, but hopefully you can hear us now.
I can hear you. Beautiful.
Excellent. So here at Justo, we have been on a huge learning journey. So back in May 2022, we went into special measures. So we have really looked at what is informing our pedagogy and what we do for the provision for our children here at Justo. And this quote is our driver. So everything comes back to play and back to the children. One of the biggest influences has been the Froebel Trust, and looking at their documentation and their pamphlets. And this has been a huge journey for us, especially with cooking. Back before, we would have children sitting around a table. We would then pass the bowl around, everybody giving a little stir. The first group would have lots of opportunities to talk, but then as the time is going on, you realise that you're running out of time. So everybody's quick stir, and then I'm doing that. So we have completely changed our approach to cooking with our children here at Justo, and this document has supported us with that. So cooking is an active and engaging and first-hand experience for all the children. So there are a number of things that we do in order to encourage this. So for example, the children have their own equipment, so they are making the things from start to finish, to clearing up everything themselves.
So we've looked at our whole cooking process, as Heidi said there. So starting with the growing opportunities, the nature, connecting with nature, and having that great understanding of the world around them, where the food comes from. And that's been a real change for us here. We've actually managed to grow things this year, which we've been really, really proud of ourselves for. And we've actually been using the produce that we've grown for our cooking. So we really looked at our process of cooking. Like Heidi said, it was very rushed. It was very much sort of, right, we'll do cooking all in one day. We've now slowed that learning down. We have small groups. We ensure that there are valuable experiences given plenty of time. So we've looked at our routine and our timetable for the early years. And we ensure then that when we are providing these opportunities, they are rich learning opportunities where the children are actively involved. There's cooking in groups. We look at independent cooking, and then also what the opportunities are in the mud kitchen, the role play, for them to then make those connections in other areas. We were looking at our cooking area in particular. It wasn't really well organised. It didn't look very inviting. We didn't have very good equipment, and we were also cooking in areas of the classroom rather than in our kitchen that we have. So we had a real deep look and observed how the children were when they were cooking, what they were doing, and then we transformed the space that we have. So the environment is really key. We then made sure that each child has their own bowls, they've got their own tools and aprons. So rather than having to pass the bowl around, it was ensuring that everybody had their opportunity, and then they could take their time so that they wasn't being rushed, and they could progress through then using lots of different tools and becoming more confident, because all the children are at the different stages with the skills. So we've taught them then how to use the real tools, the graters, the knives, that they need chopping boards, the cutters, and that's a really important part of the cooking process. We allow them then that space and give them the responsibility. So that enabling adult is key, not to interfere too much, but to ensure that they are safe. And then at the end of the cooking process, then all the children, they clean the cooking space. So it's very much that start to finish.
So in terms of the cooking, we then use simple recipe cards. highlighting the first, second, third, ordering numbers and matching to photos. The use of story maps. So when the children have, they've acted out a story. So for example, Mr. Wolf's pancakes, and they will then retell part of the instructions in order for that familiarization as well before they do their cooking. We will look at adapting recipe cards so that the children have, it's clear for them with the number of spoons and the size of the spoons that the children are using as well, so making those comparisons. And then, as you can see here, we've got some photos which then the children are able to have a go and develop independently then as well, with the adult just offering the support when needed.
So cooking covers all areas of the curriculum. As Heidi said, they're from reading the recipes to counting, measuring and estimating those ingredients, using a wide range of tools, utensils. It allows them to explore texture, shape and form, finding out where that food comes from. That's been really important for us here, and giving those children those experiences. And then learning how the food changes. So we've really used the Frobel pamphlets to help us here with that pedagogy of what is a good experience when they are cooking. And for our children here, the hands-on and practical, those authentic learning experiences, to let them have a go. Lots of them don't cook at home, they don't have those opportunities. So we've been cooking with them in school and then sending the recipes home for the parents as well. And we've had some lovely messages through Dojo showing the children cooking at home, which is allowing them then to practice those skills and just having that really nice family time.
So the cooking provides lots of opportunities, both inside and also for the children to apply those skills outside in the mud kitchen and areas outside as well. We offer a rolling snack, so the children have got their independence there as well. So they are able to pour and to access the snack area as and when they need to as well. So everything that we do linked to cooking actually feeds into other areas of our provision as well. And the key area that it's had the biggest impact on is the mud kitchen. Before we would just have mud everywhere, whereas now the children are using it more purposefully. They're able to use the different areas of the garden in order to add their ingredients, and they're really taking on that role outside as well.
So one thing we've talked a lot here at Dewstow is, even though it's a rich opportunity for numeracy, cooking is fantastic for that. However, we don't want it to become that add-on. So it's looking for those natural opportunities to make the connections. Just on the slide there, you know, there's a range of skills that cooking offers. What we were finding, you know, when we looked back at our practice, it was very much, oh, how many scoops, and the numeracy was overtaking the actual cooking experiences. So we've talked to the staff in terms of what rich language opportunities they can get, the communicating, and looking for those natural opportunities that arise. So especially with problem solving, they were making salt dough last week and it was very much, the mixture was too wet. What are we going to do about it? So it was the children then using their own experiences and a bit of that trial and error as well to solve problems. Asking if there's have you got enough of an ingredient. We've looked closely at the packaging and sorting. So whereas we would jump in before a little bit more with, right, let's get cooking, we're taking our time as the build up, looking at what ingredients have we got enough of the ingredients, and what are we going to use to measure.
Just Sam, just 1 minute. There's a question in the chat from Charlotte.
Yeah.
With regards to ingredients, I think you've answered it though, with your last slide. With regards to ingredients and encouraging independence, do you ensure the correct amount of flour or sugar is available, or do you allow the children to trial and error with capacity?
We allow them to trial and error with the capacity. And it's all about experience. So rather than it being that product at the end, sometimes the cooking that we make, it absolutely does not work. And that's a learning opportunity. And then we go back then and we revisit that learning and refine. Did you want to add a bit more to that?
No, I think exactly that, and understanding, you know, what has happened, and for the children to almost learn from their mistakes.
We've had to really step back from that control. I think with cooking, you don't want it to be messy, you want it to work. We've had to step back a bit from that and let them explore a little bit more, and it's building that independence with the children. And when we started this, we did have very messy areas, didn't we? But as the children grew more confident, understood how to measure, how to use the cups, and how to use the weighing scales, and we've got a range of different weighing scales that we also use, so we expose them to different tools as well.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Okay, so this slide just shows how we then use the cooking opportunities in the provision as well. So looking at the mathematical development, looking at data handling, the use of the interactive whiteboard, so making those connections. So this is linked to the guinea pigs that we've got in our setting, and looking at what we were feeding the guinea pigs. So from that, the children then designed some snacks for the guinea pigs where they could then choose. We looked at what was safe for the guinea pigs, and then they went on to look at what their favourite snacks were as well.
So connecting with nature, we've also looked at this as part of our research with Frobel, and immersing them in the experiences. So we've really worked hard this year to make sure that we plant seeds at the right time of the year. We've looked at the gardening calendar. The children take full responsibility for caring for them, watching them grow, and the delight on the children's faces. I mean, we grew lettuce in year 1 and year 2, and then they made the rainbow salad. So it was that full process. We'd grown the lettuce, they harvested it, we brought it into our kitchen, and the children then made a rainbow salad from it. The experience from that, the children have then gone home and they've now got little planters in their gardens. The parents have been really on board with it. So it's been a really rich experience for our children.
That also links to those forms again. It's lovely.
Mm-hmm. And then it's about making those connections, so providing opportunities for the children to engage in those experiences, in that imaginative play, so in the mud kitchen, in the home corner, and how the children are using those skills and tools and able to talk to you about what they've been doing with the cooking, but also then in their play.
And then we've looked at our stories and rhymes and how we can make connections with stories and rhymes. Obviously, there's lots of opportunity through rhymes, counting through the rhymes. And so we try to link it where we can, but if it doesn't fit, we don't make it fit. And just looked at what sort of nursery rhymes in particular are lovely. And there's some lovely recipes that you can link in as well. But also we have got a progression in cooking where we ensure that they are taught the basic skills as well in early years that they need. And it just helps them to support their play and the understanding of the world around them.
So as we mentioned earlier, it's about that whole process. So providing those opportunities for the children to go out to the shops, to buy the ingredients, encouraging them to look at the recipes, to notice what can you see, how do you see it, and why that happens. And that's us.
That was brilliant. Thank you. I just want to say, I'm sure there might be somebody who wants to say something, but I want to say how absolutely thrilled I am that you've joined us on the partner school team. And particular thank you for doing 3 days on the trot in the 3rd to last week of term when everyone is on their knees. And also, can I just say as well, in front of everybody, how I think it's extremely brave of you come today and to start off by saying, we were in special measures.
Yeah.
And look at your transformation, girls. I'm just so proud of this. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you.
That was a great presentation. Thank you so much. And just to say, same as Rachel, your new events will be available in the PL calendar coming up in the autumn term. Thank you, Diane Deal. And I think it's Kath next, please. Kath, you raring to go?
Yeah, that's a hard one to follow, isn't it? No pressure.
She's a seasoned veteran, Kath.
No, I'm not. Right, can we see that?
We can.
Let me just move this pin out of the way. Okay. So I'm Kath from Nant Park Primary School, and I'm just going to share with you some ideas that we well, how we develop, I suppose, maths and numeracy within our environment. So when I planned this presentation, I was speaking to staff when we were talking about the role of the environment as a catalyst for maths, as well as the enabling adult, as Gaynor was mentioning earlier. So is it moving, my slide? Because it's not moving for me.
No, not yet. Oh. Yeah, yes, it did then.
There we go. Okay, so this is our role-playing home corner. And with lots of, I'm sure with lots of your role play and your home corners, there are lots of opportunities for, you know, our counting, sorting, matching, the use of time with now and next. And we use lots of loose parts within our home corner to support children's imagination and their numeracy and math skills. We also developed a lot.
Kath, stay on there for 1 minute. I just want to savour that slide. That's beautiful.
So this is our, yeah, this is our home corner. So we do use, as I said, loose parts with our children, but this is done gradually. So you can see here, this is a summer term kind of photo where we've got lots of loose parts out, but they would be out, they would be put up strategically across the year, I suppose, to support the children and making sure that they're using them purposefully within the setting.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
That's okay. Then we've got opportunities for children to develop their sewing skills. So within this area, it kind of speaks for itself, really. Lots of developing children's knowledge of pattern, colour, measure, length, as well as their mathematical vocabulary. So again, making sure that our environment allows for that maths to take place and numeracy to take place naturally with the children, with the support of that enabling adult. Then obviously we utilise lots within our block play. We call this our garage area, where we've got our block play and woodwork. So again, lots of opportunity for shape, pattern, symmetry, measure within our woodwork and counting. Then the use of the outdoors, and I know lots of us have already spoken about outdoors, but utilising the provision that we've got outdoors as well as the actual environment. So they're using our mud kitchen and our water and our large loose parts for counting, again, sorting, capacity, one-to-one correspondence, and lots of problem solving. And then I've just got some slides then of just maths in action, I suppose, across our nursery. So this was taken back in the autumn term, where children were just grouping, drawing objects, the amount of objects they could see within these number cards. This was more of an intentional teaching task for the children to explore. Our mud kitchen, so these children here were outside in the autumn term, lots of counting within that enabling adult, and again that one-to-one correspondence, so the little girl on the right was able to put, you know, her 6 pine cones on top of the 6 cakes that she had made, and then the little boy on the left, he just kind of counted 1, 2, 25, 33, 100 with his pine cones in the mud kitchen. So it's just using that adult to make sure that we're supporting children's math skills within the areas as, you know, when we seize those opportunities and those moments. Again, then just adding that little extra, so the cupcake holders based on an observation with this little girl who'd been making cupcakes with her nanny. So we gave her some cupcakes, so she was making those. Again, that one-to-one correspondence, she was counting the cupcake holders into the tins, and it was just using that adult to make sure that she was developing, you know, her concepts of counting. Again, with this little boy on the right, he was doing the same, using the pebbles to count how many he decorated his cakes with. And then I put these 2 photos in because these children here are some of our children with social and communication difficulties. We seem to have a lot of them in our nursery this year. So it was kind of limiting resources for them, but meeting their needs, so they were able to develop some key mathematical concepts as well. Some of the resources and maybe some elements of the provision might not be suitable for them. However, we do provide opportunities where we use our intense interactions and we work with them to meet their needs on simple things like the counting, the sorting, and just placing objects into areas, almost like into categories, I suppose. This then was an intentional teaching task, just grouping objects. This was done during our family time, just to reinforce that counting and sorting and grouping with our children. Then we've got opportunities that have just been captured in the block play. We don't normally take measures within our block play for our nursery children, but this little boy on the left is one of our more able children. He's confident with numbers, you know, really high numbers. He's got older siblings. So he was able to make connections with the numbers as to how many blocks he had. Whereas the little boy on the left used the blocks underneath the picture, underneath his building, to count how long his building was.
I love that.
He's put more there than what he needed, but he was able to say, I got too many, you know, and that kind of thing. So he was able to say, yeah.
That's
so
great observation though as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Then we've got the use of shape and patterns. So we do a lot of reflection and light within our setting. So children were using animals and looking at the shapes around the animals, and then making and drawing these. Similar then with the coloured lensed blocks, they were able to look at the colour and the shapes that were being reflected onto the wall.
I want everyone to have an OHP.
Then we've just seized opportunities to support children within like the creative area, where they were doing some patterns and shapes within our creative areas. And again outside, so following on from an observation indoors, this little boy had a fascination with diggers and trucks. So he decided to paint the wheels of these giant cars. They're from Flying Start, but we did wash them and put them back. But he was mark making and was able to recognise the patterns from tyres onto the paper outdoors. This little girl, this was this summer, she's just come back from holiday, hence the hair. She was just using shapes outside just to make represent things that she could see within the outdoors, so flowers and the houses and the memorial behind our garden. Again, more pattern outside, and on the right then, this was an observation basically of children were noticing patterns within the environment, so our tyres for our planters, some of the resources that we've got available to them outside. So just those in the moment opportunities that we seize to engage children within their maths and numeracy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then obviously those authentic learning opportunities that we're all providing, I think, across our schools with gardening and cooking. Lots and lots of maths, you know, the vocabulary and the language, and exposing children to those mathematical elements and concepts, you know, growing. So on the right, the children in the autumn, we were planting their spring bulbs, and we were talking about, you know, when they're going to grow and what they're going to look like. And then the bottom photo then is where the little boy is able to notice that they've grown and they've got taller, and, you know, what's happened as a result of what we've planted, and just recapping their learning within the outdoors. And then we've got our cooking then as well. We do use sorting trays and things like that within our classroom, so children do have the opportunity to sort and count and match. So there's just some resources there that we utilise and we still use within our provision. And again, it's just lots of opportunities everywhere across the environment where those math skills can come through. Loose parts, again, lots of counting, patterns, symmetry, as well as developing children's curiosities and their imagination within the loose parts, using loose parts.
Kath, can I just ask one question? Go back.
Yeah.
See the photograph on the right?
Yeah.
And that is a mirror.
Yeah.
Is it bought like that, or did you make that? Do you see what I mean? Did you put some reflective?
No, it was bought like that.
Oh, okay. I really like that as well.
Well, actually, it's a mixture. The sides and the back were bought like that, and then we put a film at the bottom.
Okay.
So the tabletop is a film, but the sides and the back are mirrored. Yeah.
Very nice.
It's a pain to keep clean, mind, but yeah, it is lovely. again, the same concept here, where we have, I suppose, our 10 frames, but early 10 frames there. Then I just got some examples of intentional teaching tasks for the summer term for those who are ready. Number formation, counting. We looked at money because children brought money in for Pudsey Day back in the autumn. So it kind of was just that opportunity that we could, you know, link money in, because it was a real life opportunity. They were bringing money in. Why were we bringing money in? Let's have a look at the coins, rather than it being, let's learn about money now because, you know, we need to expose you to that. So it's just seizing those opportunities and those real life moments as and when with our children. Then how we link this with parents. So we use lots of resources with our parents. Pori Drew Story being a good one, because they do introduce the children to lots of rhymes, as I know they mentioned in Dewstone just then, but number rhymes and things like that. So, you know, some of our parents may not expose their children to things like that. So it's just an opportunity to develop that at home. And we also use the Borrow Me bags, which were designed to support children's literacy skills through play. However, within their bags, we noticed there are lots of opportunities for maths to be developed as well. So I've kind of done my own little card. Each bag has got a card that promotes the literacy element of it, but I've designed my own little card then to go in the bags when they take them home. That will support children's numeracy as well, so parents can use that at home with their children as well.
Is that a free resource, or do you have to pay for a subscription? How does that work?
Yeah, you pay for a subscription and they send you 8 bags, all with the invent, imagine, investigate and share principles. And then you keep them for the term, and then at the end of the term they take them back and you get a fresh lot of bags in the spring term with different kind of play resources within those bags, and the same for the summer term. So you have 3 sets across the year then.
Do you know how much that costs, Kath? Top of your head?
I think it was about £200 for the year.
Okay. Just wondering if
could be
people
less,
would be
could be more. I'm
interested.
not. Yeah, we saw it at the NE, the National Education Show,
Mhm.
and it was something that our parents have really been engaged with.
Lovely, thank you.
And then these are just 2 but one is a book, Learning Through Landscapes, which is a PDF document which I've used, and then the Creative Star website is just
Juliet.
a website that all staff go to really to develop. Well, to support them with ideas, you know, within the outdoors, because there's absolutely loads of things on that website that, you know, when you're stuck for some kind of idea, there might be something on there that we can, well, there usually is 99.9% of the time, something on there that we can use to develop a concept further, or just to spark a little bit more of a curiosity with maths.
Juliet's
And that's
wonderful.
me.
Thank
That's
you.
us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kath. Any comments? I can see that Claire Welsh has been very busy and she's put the link of for Borrow Me into the chat. Well done, Claire. Straight on that, loving it. Thank you, Kath.
Thank you.
I think Borrow Me might get quite busy. That's what I'm wondering. Ellis, are you ready? I can see you ready.
Hello, yes,
Poised.
I shall share my screen now. Can we see this so far?
Can indeed.
Fabulous. Okie dokie. So, hi everyone, I'm Ellis from St Andrews in Newport. I'm one of the assistant heads leading the early years team here at St Andrews. We are a EAS partner school as well for early years, so I'm sure lots of you have been for visits here, so you will be really familiar with lots of things I'm going to share this morning. My focus is on the block play this morning and sort of how we utilise the block play, particularly for those numeracy skills. I could talk and talk and talk forever about block play, so I try to like minimise it as much as I possibly can, but it is just so important for all our learners at St Andrews. I am going to focus more on early years this morning, but block play is provided for learners from nursery to year 6 and our learning resource bases at St Andrews, because we just see a wealth of opportunities from our block play provision, you know, collaborating, working together, but in particular being able to develop develop their literacy, numeracy and DCF skills so naturally. I think that's really important as well, how block play can just be utilised as a natural way to sort of develop those skills. We do have progressive block play provision, like I said, from nursery to year 6, and I have got a few little ideas of how we ensure that happens. The stages of block play are always visible for both staff and learners in our block play areas, and it's really important, I think, to stress how block play forms part of those play opportunities particularly through our observations that we've embedded so much in the early years this year, and also using block play as a planned experience, particularly in early years, coming away from those, it is really hard. I mean, where's your evidence for this? Where's your evidence for that? But we really utilise the block play for our math skills and our direct teaching, if you like, as well as those more sort of unplanned play opportunities. And I've kind of got some examples of both of those. There is a wealth of mathematical development and numeracy skills that the block play offers. There's a huge list there, and we see these day to day. It is important, I think, how our block play is set up, how it's arranged, what's on offer for our learners in the block play to ensure that all of these mathematical development skills can so naturally be applied by both the enabling adult and the learners. These are some nursery children. These are from a couple of years ago now, but I love this photo. Again, if that little stool wasn't provided for the learners, would they be able to explore sort of that balance and height as much as they have done in this picture? So it's about being really sort of thinking carefully about what is in the block play for our learners to be able to develop those skills. It can be so rich, but we as adults have got to be that enabler to support that as well through the resources that we provide. So in terms of that block play progression and looking at those resources, it's really important that these resources are easily available to our learners, that it is all there for them to be able to utilise to support that application of not just numeracy skills, but all those wealth of skills that the block play so naturally sort of provides for our learners. So we always make sure, I don't know how much masking tape and string we go through in our classrooms, not just in the block play, but for example, in Lucy and I's classroom, our string and masking tape may be where all our sort of craft resources are, but it's not then to say that the children can't take the string and the masking tape into the block play with them if they are doing some measuring, or lots that we're obsessed with superheroes at the moment in our class. We have been all year, lots of using the string to hang their models that they've made in the craft area. So it's about not capping the children's sort of imagination as well. So yes, the string and masking tape might belong in our craft area, but it's not to say the children can't take it into the block play. A range of materials then to sort of enhance their block play designs, and I'll talk a little bit more about loose parts in a minute as well. Those platforms, those like little stools that I just showed, and little ladders to be able to sort of expose the children to the height of their models. Spirit levels is a lovely one to sort of explore balance, and then measuring tools, like I know lots of people have sort of touched upon this earlier, appropriate for age groups. So in nursery and reception, you might be offering sort of cubes or something like that, and then building more into rulers and measuring tapes by the time we maybe get into year 1, year 2. Papers and pens for labouring, mark play, designs, anything that they want, just that again to be available. I really suggest the big A3 clipboards. I think they're beautiful for block play, so that you've got the A3 paper on them, so the children can mark make, or they might want to draw their design, whatever they need that for, and then building that up a little bit then maybe into more squared paper, so looking at measuring and things by the time they get to year 2 and then beyond. Loose parts are so important, not just for block play, for everywhere. Lots of schools have given lovely examples of how loose parts are sort of used this morning in the environment, but particularly within the block play, we've got lots of our loose parts sort of readily available near our block play area. So there's that smooth transition of loose parts and block play just used seamlessly with for the learners. So it's about them using them to embellish their models and extending that sort of symbolic thinking and representation of what they may be designing. It represents their ideas and their thinking and their imaginative play. And I think particularly when we're observing the learners in the block play, loose parts lots of the time sort of expose us to what's happening in our learners' minds, and how they're representing what's going on in their heads. Going with learners' interest and changing loose parts regularly is really important. You know, we do try and maybe make them seasonal and things, but if there is a real interest or learners are, you know, talking about something, trying to get those loose parts available for them then to really enhance and sort of embellish their designs. And it's about collecting them. You know, we do a beg to parents, bottle tops. We've got like little recycling centres in nursery and reception that they can just pop into them so that we can keep gathering those loose parts. It's about collecting them then and organising them so the learners can see that, and then when they are tidying up, when they are putting things away, that naturally lends itself to that sorting and classifying of those numeracy skills. In terms of loose parts, again, that's something, block play and loose parts, a real passion of mine, and it's something I could just talk about. But some of these, just two of these photos this morning, just two that I've used, but it's all about that sorting, that classifying, lots of counting with the loose parts, that critical thinking and problem solving, the positioning of them. So again, looking at that positioning scheme, I've been obsessed with one child this year in particular in my class, and he is definitely positioning as his schema, and he just positions them so carefully and so precisely. He goes back, he looks at it, he's thinking, he's problem solving, he rearranges them, and it's just fascinating to watch. And again, with those patterns, repeating patterns or just natural patterns and symmetry that they may use then within their block play designs. And then, like I said earlier, providing sort of that mark making, those resources readily available again in the block play, just having them there for those mathematical graphics. I love this photo here. This child has used sort of little figures within her block play design and has then represented them then on a piece of paper and some mark making tools that were readily available for her. She was a nursery learner that was sort of working above where we'd expect to be, but again, I just think that's just such a lovely piece of evidence there of her own mathematical thinking. It supported that sort of deepening thinking about mathematics and how she was engaging with that. Again, then that, you know, we weren't saying, oh, draw a face by there, draw a face by there. It gave her that her own choice of how she was going to represent what she could see with the positioning of those people. I think it was a bus or something that she'd made, but it was her way of representing that mathematical thinking that was going on in her head. Again, we didn't then say to her, oh, can you write a number 7 here? It was just her way of showing us that, and observing that closely then gave us a little bit more understanding again to that individual child's thinking and learning. And then these are just some lovely examples of that play opportunities, and I did sort of add in those forms of those Froebel forms that Gaynor talked about earlier, of the life, beauty and knowledge. The second photo there of the outdoor blocks, again, which is really important to mention, is not just the indoor blocks that could be providing these opportunities, it's also those outdoor blocks. So that was actually a representation of a bird, and you can see those big blocks then at the as sort of the feathers of the bird, but they naturally then, the blocks, allow the children to represent those 3 forms of life that Froebel talks about. So lovely. The first photo there, that just natural symmetry that's going on. That third photo captures so lovely of a child just naturally counting her blocks that she's positioned on top of each other. Again, looking at sort of that balance and height, and the use of loose parts and in that final photo there. And these are just some of our older children then, where I have talked about that progression of blocks. So that first photo there is actually the use of Kaplan blocks. Our year 5 and 6 children have the opportunity to use Kaplan blocks. So this was a group of year 5 children there, sort of in a communal area of our year 5 classes. So again, looking at sort of that balance and everything that photo sort of offers, and just some other photos there of how our numeracy skills have developed through block play in sort of the older classes as well. We have really, like I said earlier, really sort of driven observations this year. So you provide those play opportunities for learners every single day. That's what our block play does for us. But it's about them being that enabling adult and being in the block play with the learners, looking and observing of what's going on, so that then you can analyse and respond. And I've got some examples of how we've used that this year, particularly across nursery and reception. I just love that quote from Frobel Trust: the most successful interactions are those that comment on the structures and extend children's thinking, rather than asking closed questions that the practitioner already knows the answer to. And I just think that sums up the reason of why we're doing observations. And these are just a few captured photographs of what we've gained from observations this year in our reception classroom. We then use observation books then to capture those to capture what we've seen. These are used to track learners' progress. There's no trackers or anything. If somebody asks me where's my evidence of learners' progress, I get my observation book out, because it's all there. It's what are we noticing about the child, so sort of commenting on what we've seen through observation. We've gained so much from block play this year, in particular with this class. So lots of our observations are in there, but we're just gaining so much knowledge from the learners, and then how we analyse and respond, particularly with their literacy and numeracy skills. So these are just a couple of examples of what we've captured through that observation book. I'm going to show them one in particular. So you might have seen this on my job share, Lucy's Twitter. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. So we've done a big sort of drive on the importance of our outdoor blocks this year. That's been something that we've developed further, is our outdoor block area. So using our notice and analyse, the children had created a Clockman tower. We had no idea who the Clockman was, but he is some sort of superhero that they've seen somewhere. And this was the Clockman tower that they'd created in the outdoor area. So through that notice and analyse, then we gained knowledge that the children had sort of an interest and fascination in times and clocks. They were naturally using lots of the language, so nighttime, daytime, in the morning. This will come next after that sort of thing. And their exploration of time then, so they went into the classroom and they were looking at the clock on the wall. So then they used the tough tray then with chalk just to sort of draw out what a clock might look like, and the concepts of different times of the day. So we then responded to the children quite quickly, went into some sort of charity shops, and I was begging on my family group chats, does anybody have sort of any old clocks and watches? And between Lucy and I then, we gained sort of a little bank of just clocks and watches. We split the class in half. We had half of them inside with us, like the children there, just sort of exploring clocks, watching, wearing them, talking about the times of day. Lots of the children noticed that some of the clocks were old, some of them were new. So again, sorting and classifying in that way, looking at similarities and differences. Lots of them noticed the Roman numerals compared to numbers on some of the clocks. And there was just that sort of free exploration of that, whilst the other half then were taken to the outdoors, and we enhanced and further developed their Clockman tower, because I was really lucky to find this really old tall clock that you can see there in the photo. So we snuck that into school before the children arrived, and then we took them outdoors, and there was a big fascination about how did this clock get here? It looks like the Clockman, and so on. So the children then used this to represent their own Clockman within the outdoors. Some of our boys then went inside, they got some art making equipment, they came out, they were drawing their own clocks, they were going back in, they were cutting them out, out, they were sticking them on their Clockman tower, and it was just fabulous how like one little fascination from one little observation the week before actually turned into a whole class sort of exploration of clocks, times, watches. We hadn't planned that sort of to discuss clocks and times and things. I wasn't on any of our planning. It was just through our notice, analyse and respond that we were able to sort of enhance this learning. And then sort of those more planned opportunities then of block play. So through our notice, analyse and respond, lots of our actual our planned teaching has been inspired lots this year by our block play and by our learners. So again, getting those numeracy skills into our project planning or our maths planning it might be. So this is one example here how we used the book Changes. It's a really lovely book exploring 3D shapes and transformation, that sort of thing. So we use that then for block play symmetry and sort of more planned experience and being that enabling adult. And then the outdoor blocks as well were used. Again, then I've just started there, that enabling adult. So in reception, we plan through the 3 enablers, so the environment, the experiences and the adults. And again, not being afraid to use the block play with the adult going into the block play. So this was when we were talking about our community. We'd gone on local walks and talking about similarities and differences between houses. So actually having the adult in the block play, building the community after the local walk, so representing what they could see through like a sort of physical recount. So again, this wasn't something that went into books or anything like that. This was an in the moment teaching within the block play that we gained so much from. And there's just some photos then of how the children represented. So they went and they even used sort of our junk modelling then, and they'd made houses and things in the junk modelling, took them into the block play and just gained so much from that. And again, it's also used as a planned experience within our maths sort of planners. So you might have an adult sort of doing that more focused teach with a group. And then, for example, this was our TA going into the block play. So she's using her Welsh with Blair Routine View, and also then using the blocks then for measuring, for sort of putting houses into order with door numbers and that sort of thing. But again, it's thinking outside the box of it having to always be in books. It's there within our environment there. And that's me done. And there's my details if anyone would like any further information from that. So thank you.
Thanks, Ellis. That was absolutely fabulous, as I knew it would be. You know what's really heartening to me, and I'm just going to give Lucy a chance in a minute to unmute because she's got some exciting news. But what came through all of the presentations actually was the influence of Froebelian principles and occupations. And I'm absolutely delighted that more schools are getting interested in how the principles and the occupations. Principles underpin your pedagogy, your understanding of your why, basically. Why are we doing this? Why are we engaging with nature? Why are we exploring the central importance of play, that kind of thing? That's your why. And then the occupations are your vehicles for authentic learning. And it's wonderful to see and hear all of you this morning sharing fabulous, fabulous examples. I'm sure everyone else would agree. It's been stunning, absolutely stunning. And the quality of your presentations, I'm so glad I work in this region. I'm so glad. Honestly, I've got little tears in my eyes just thinking about how gorgeous you all are. Anyway, I'm going to move on to Lucy from Milton. If you want to unmute, and we can see you as well if you want to come on camera and offer.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, Lucy, we can hear you and see you.
My microphone doesn't always work. So, yeah, just some good news from us, really. We've got Robot Trust coming to do some training with us next academic year. So we've been quite lucky in that we're quite high on the deprivation index. So we've had some funding from them as well. So it's a complete bargain, I think. We've got element 1, which is principles and practice, and then element 2, which is about the gifts and the occupations booked in. So that is 1 day in September, 1 October, 1 November, and 1 in January. It's at school. We're hosting it. and lunch is included, and it's £208 for the 4 days. So that's £52 a day, which is a bargain, I think. Yeah, 2 tutors are coming. We've got 28 places. We have filled quite a few already, but we have got some left. So I've popped my email address in the chat. So if anyone's interested in booking a place, drop me an email and I can send you the dates and some more information. But we're really excited.
Oh, Lucy, that's just fabulous. And thank you for the offer. Can I just, in the chat again, S. King from Glanlyn, that still doesn't look like a hub email to me, because hub email usually has your surname, initial, sometimes numbers, and then at Hub Cymru. It's just that if I add you with that email address, you might not become a member, you'll just be a guest. I don't know if you get full access then. Sorry about that. Does anyone have any comments or questions for any of the 5 schools who presented this morning? Tumbleweed moment. Lucy, I'm hoping that people start to send you emails, or at least they'll go back to their head teachers and go, listen.
I've had 2 emails already, Gaynor.
Yay. So excited. Okay, now I've got to try it right. I'm going to just put, that's my screen back up now, isn't it? And we will have probably a bit of an early finish, which is also welcome, I'm sure. Honestly, I couldn't be more proud. I truly mean this, to be working here, to see those the slides that I put at the beginning, to have them then demonstrated in practice so beautifully was absolutely stunning. So thank you again. I wanted to just touch base with you on what I'm hoping I want to do next year. One thing that I want to do next year, and then I'm open to you suggesting further sessions. And I think it was Donna that actually offered this, suggested this one. Was it you, Donna, that said, let's do something on numeracy? Was it you last time? Oh, Donna's gone. Sorry, she won't answer me because she's gone. She had another meeting. So let me just say, this is what I would really like to do next year. So I don't know if any of you did attend the webinar from Frobel Trust. It was about 2 weeks ago now. It is available. They have already uploaded it to their website. I've bought the book. This is the book. It was a very, very, very powerful webinar. I knew it would be. The book, I've only read like the first couple of pages because I need to give it my conscious attention. And at the minute, I am probably like the rest of you, only add on 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, however long, of being just really tired. So I want to do it in the summer when I'm fresher and I can give it my full attention. But what I thought about, and I'm happy for you to say yay or nay, but what I thought we would do is we would have our first session, and it will be a sharing session. The webinar was about 40 minutes, something like that. So I might not do all of it, but I might show a little bit of the webinar. If you can find time between now and then to watch it, I would urge you all to. But then I wondered if it would be a really good starting point for us all to think about, how are we talking about race, thinking about our effective environments, our inclusive environments, the resources on offer, in a really deep way, with that focus on all children and what it means to be, in particular, Black and Brown, not only Black and Brown, but in particular. So what I'd like to do is for us to do that kind of thing that we do when we all get together. I love it when you bring along things and the room gets excited and there's a lot of animation going on. But there also might be some difficult conversations that we want to have quietly with each other about how do you, and have you had this, and Anyway, that's my thoughts. Anyone disagree? You dare not, I hope. But does anyone think that's a good idea? That's our first session. Rachel, you've got your hand up. Please speak.
Hi there. Just to say that's really interesting from our end. As a school, our project, our contextual learning is No Outsiders. We've just all had No Outsiders training, so that would be really valuable. We'd really appreciate that.
Thanks, Rachel. And I know in the webinar they gave a link to suitable resources. So if I find the link, I will put that in this chat, but we'll also share it on that day as well. Book resources, those would be. Anybody else? You know, if some of you feel like you're doing a really great job on this as well, again, I would love for someone to do some presenting at that session. So it's not just me talking. I am not an expert in this. I'm learning, I'm reflecting on my previous practice, you know, on just on my own unconscious bias that undoubtedly I will have. And I think that's the first step, isn't it, to recognize our unconscious bias, and we don't see what we don't think about, because we've never had to think about it, but now we do have to think about it. Okay. It'll be joyous. No one wants to step up though and offer a presentation first.
Gaynor.
Clairwell. Thank you.
I am certainly not an expert in this, but as a school, if you know our contacts, you know, we're a really diverse school with lots and lots of ethnic backgrounds, many languages. So we've done a lot of work on dialogue as well. So it wouldn't necessarily be me that would deliver, but I can, and I can't promise anything because it would be commitment of other staff. I can certainly ask if there is something that we could put together. If we could, I'll send you an email, maybe we can thrash it.
Send me an email. It wouldn't be long, because if, you know, that I don't know whether to do the whole webinar, or what I'll do is I'll touch base with people in the autumn term to see how many have actually accessed the webinar, so that then I only have to do a little clip of it. And I think the most important thing will be to have those discussions and look at resources and be thinking about, you know, again, I think it is about the environment, and do children and families feel represented? Yeah. In positive ways. Lovely. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, email. Beautiful. Okay. And then just for next year, just to give you the heads up, it all is going into that PL calendar though, as you'll know. The first one is that one, 23rd of October. It will be in the East. I don't have venues yet. Then we have another 5 to fill. So this is your opportunity to give me some ideas about what you might like to cover. We've got 2 new, very excited partner schools. So Blackwood have shared with you what they're offering. Justo, as I said, have just done 3 fabulous days and will continue to do more days, 6 days across autumn and spring term of next year on transforming pedagogy and authentic learning from nursery to year 2. Nanta Park, I've got 5 days, I think it is, 5 sessions, I should say, on early learning and observation. RISCA are not here today, but RISCA are focusing on enabling learning and forbidding occupations. And I know that it's quite exciting for us because Phoebe, who set up the early years unit in RISCA in terms of putting together nursery and reception, is moving into year 1 and year 2 and taking those occupations up to year 1 and year 2. So we can look to see new things happening in RISCA next year, which would be exciting. And then St Andrews also have a Squillian offers. So we've got woodwork, engaging experiences, block play, nursery, a life in the, or a day in the life of nursery, or a session in the life of nursery, and observation. And we have Georgetown as well, who look at independent learning. High Cross are new. I don't know if anyone from High Cross is actually on the meeting today. Is there anyone from High Cross? There might not be. So High Cross are new. We haven't actually sorted out their offer yet, but it will be coming. Again, very Froebelian, very focused on improving environments and wanting to move pedagogy from foundation learning up into upper school as well. So all really exciting, delighted, over the moon. Last slide, so thank you to those of you who have stayed on, is the evaluation. So if you could just take a short minute